In this video, we're going to talk about a quick check that you can do when you're calculating inverse functions. So the first thing that's important to say is that on your calculator, it's not possible to input a function and tell it to give you the inverse function. It can't do the algebra for you. The other thing that's worth mentioning is you may see sort of other videos on functionality of your TI Nspire or other calculators showing how you can plot the graph of the inverse function. It may not give you the function algebraically, but it might be able to plot the graph of it using relations. That's also not possible when you're in your test mode for your IB exams. So that functionality will be disabled. So I'm not going to talk through it here because it won't help you in the exam. You won't be able to use it. So what I am going to talk about is just a quick check that you can do that your inverse function that you've calculated, if you have to find it algebraically, that it looks reasonable. So the first thing to note, I've got a function here, f of x equals 7x minus 3. I've set my axes so they're roughly equal scale. It's not perfect, it doesn't matter. If you're way off, a quick reminder, you can go to menu, window zoom, and window setting, and that allows you to set your x min and max and your y min and max, but mine are fine as I have them. So thinking about inverse functions, if I calculate the inverse function of this function here, the blue function, when I graph it, I'm expecting that it should be a reflection in the line y equals x. So the only thing I'm going to do initially is plot the graph of y equals x. Just for visibility, I'm just going to change that to a dashed line. So this is not my function, this is what I'm expecting to reflect in. So let's say I do my algebra and I calculate that the inverse function of f of x equals 7x minus 3 is going to be x plus 3 over 7. Okay, and I graph it, and I can see reasonably well that this looks like it's the correct inverse function. It looks reasonable that this blue function here has been reflected in the line y equals x, and I have my black graph here. The other thing that I can check, if I hit Control T and I get a table of values, I get my x and y values for one of the functions. If I scroll to the side, if I look at, okay, so when x is 1, y is 4 on the original function, that means here, when x is 4, y is 1. So you have to scroll across a little bit. So this gives me my x and y for my first function, and then I scroll across and I'm looking for x is 4, y is 1. So that's another useful check. But visually, it might just be a useful quick check to do if you're in a calculator paper that the inverse function looks reasonable.